Okay, let's try this again. Take two. Hey y'all. So I found this very, very good article, and it's Trayvon Thursday. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to get into facts of the case because at this point, the case is nothing more than like basically we're fishing for evidence and trying to find ways to deface Trayvon's character or George Zimmerman's character. Both parties are doing the same thing, just trying to deface each other's. It's getting boring at this point. So I have, however, wanted to keep the spirit of Trayvon Martin alive in this article from the Huffington Post by David Reynolds, who's a journalist for the Huffington Post. And the title of this article is Trayvon Martin and the Stranger Who Punched Me. Now, the article is really long, so I'm not going to read you guys the full article, but I'm going to read you a couple of excerpts out of it. Now, basically, in this article, David Reynolds, who is the journalist, recollects an instance a week before Trayvon was shot where he was jogging in Brooklyn and he was attacked by a black man randomly out of nowhere. He was just jogging, do 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 do, boop, and he was attacked just out of nowhere. He wasn't robbed. He didn't like provoke anybody. He was just minding his business, jogging, and he was attacked by a random. So he went to the police or whatever and gave them. They asked for a description or whatever, and he said the first thing that came to his mind was he was black. So this guy isn't like a racist. He's not like no what you call them people. He's not a KKK. He's just a normal, I'm assuming middle class guy who was attacked. And the first thing that came to his mind was that he was black. So he was conflicting with himself whether he was racist or not. Now, how do we tie this into Trayvon's case? Here we go. Here we go. Here we get into it. I was nervous and jittery in those first days after the incident, days that were among Trayvon Martin's last on earth. I would be jogging again and see a black man in the distance and rounding a corner coming towards me. My fists would clench, adrenaline would pump through my system, my heart would pound. In fact, um, no, we're not reading that. Here we go. This is when he gets into how the whole racist thing or racism thing plays into his occasion, plays into the Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman occasion. Here we go. The first published, excuse me, the first published picture of George Zimmerman was unflattering. In fact, the new media would later be criticized for ruining the shot insistently in the days after the shooting. Remember the shaved head, the pudgy cheeks, the stony eyes, and the orange polo shirt that looked suspiciously close to a prison jumpsuit. Excuse me. So that's what a racist looked like. It was a comforting it was comforting to cluck our tongues and tell ourselves we had nothing in common with the Jolie face. So basically, at this point, he's saying that when the whole situation went down, the picture was released that George Zimmerman was essentially the face of racism at this point, because at that point there was no doubt in our mind if anything went down. It was just a racist act, and he shot him on racist notions. So here we go. There were only weeks in between my encounter and Trayvon's death. Imagine 17-year-old Trayvon walking down the Brooklyn sidewalk, hands jammed deep into his pockets of his gray hoodie. I know I wouldn't have felt afraid. Now, yeah. So, with that being said, so you have to realize that not all black people, if you will, are to be feared, if I guess, or all people in general. Because if you were to take this out of a race thing, there are crazy people of all colors: black, white, purple and blue, orange, aqua, fuchsia too. It's like crazy people. It's all type of crazy people. So he's saying that if this had happened before he was attacked and he saw Trayvon Martin walking around the corner, he wouldn't have felt any type of way. He would have just kept going about his business. But now, because he was attacked by this random black guy in the middle of Brooklyn in broad daylight, now he feels like he could possibly be a racist. And I don't believe he is because, well, we're about to get into the rest of it. So here we go. We still learn to fear black men in this country. It is subtle lesson that is excuse me. It's a subtle lesson than it's used to be, but it is still present in our movies, shows, textbooks somehow. Before I had been attacked, I had thought myself immune. I helped little black old ladies tote their groceries up the subway train. I voted for Obama. Race wasn't an issue for me, I thought. So 4 months after the shoot, yeah, that's neither here nor there. So yeah, after the shooting, he went and got married. 4 months after he married a woman who happens to be black, which is why I don't believe this man's racist because apparently you have a black wife now, and you possibly will have little milk chocolate babies in the future. So um, milk chocolate babies. I think he said something about that too. Imagine in 15 or 20 years, I might have a vulnerable brown skinned teenager of my own. I don't want to teach that child the lesson that dark skinned people have to teach their kids. Never startle a cop, never linger in a store without cause. People will see race where they shouldn't. See, that's true. Speak truth, David Reynolds. Because at this point, being a black man is, you come with the stigma. And it wasn't something you picked. It wasn't a preconceived notion. It just happens. So I'm one of those people. I really don't let what's going on around me affect me. If I'm going into a store, like a store that I know I don't belong in, like Saks or something, because I like to look at expensive things because I'm broke, and I go in those stores like I'm definitely about to buy something, knowing damn well I'm not, but I'm damn sure gonna look because I like it. So you might get the stares from the people who are like, all right, let's keep our eye on him. He look like he gonna steal. And it doesn't help that because I'm a dancer, I always got on some baggy clothes. So, and outside of my dance attire, I'm not the stereotypical Negro. I'm not. Like what people consider a stereotypical black guy, I'm not. I don't. I don't smoke. I don't crip walk. I don't, shoot at people. I don't even own a gun. I never shot a gun in my life. I don't even think I've seen a real gun before, unless it's like on the hip of a police officer. I've only been arrested once, and that was only for a parking ticket, so it really wasn't that serious. So I'm not what people would consider the stereotypical black guy. So I guess what he's trying to say in this article is basically you can't really sum up all black people. And this is a white guy who's saying this, which says a lot. You can't really sum up all black people to be the stereotypical crazy black man that is to be feared or crazy because at the end of the day, he could have been attacked by a crazy white man or a crazy Asian or a crazy Puerto Rican because there's a crazy all on every corner of different shades or ethnicity. So I really appreciate this article. This was a really good article. I'm gonna post it in the Gotcha Gotcha bar so you guys can read it. So that's gonna be our Trayvon Martin Tuesday segment for this week. So get into it. I'm about to comment on this and let him know that he did this article. Okay, I will talk to y'all later. Peace. And be safe. Shit.